Hey, everybody. I've just spent the last three intros to this show trying to open up an AirTag box. It's a little tough. It's a bit of a challenge trying to get these things open. And boy, what a pain in the butt consumer packaging is these days. Basement Tapes number 336. John Keating here, talking about 1979 cards right now. And this is the 1979 top set, which I am on record as saying is not my favorite, probably my least favorite of the 70s as far as the tops issues. I thought they kind of mailed it in, which was interesting considering they were in the throes of lawsuits and stuff like that. They're feeling competition from Kellogg's and TCMA and Fleer as usual. So yeah, they kind of short armed this here set. I have the entire 1979 set. Have for most of my collecting endeavor here. I feel like it was probably completed sometime in 1979, and I have been going through it over the years trying to upgrade. I recently did a spate a couple years ago of getting the team cards that used to have my markings on them and replacing them with clean copies. So it's done, but it's still kind of a work in progress as far as upgrading conditionally. Because I pulled these out of the pack and pulled them out of the packs, put the cards in my pockets, and pedaled home from the Piazza's deli about a mile away from my house every time I bought these things. So yes, and the Piazza is related to those Piazzas, Mike Piazza and all that stuff. But anyway, what am I talking about? Let's get over to 1979. Beckett says 727 cards, $1.05 average value, $765.40 total value, $200 to $500 for a complete set of these cards. The cards in this 726 card set measured 2.5 by 3.5. Tops continued with the same number of cards as in 1978. As in previous years, this set was released in many different formats. Among them are the 12 card wax packs and 39 card rack packs, which cost 59 cents upon release. Those rack packs came 24 packs to a box and 3 boxes to a case. Various series spotlight league leaders, 1 through 8, season and career record holders 411 through 418, record breakers 201 through 206, and 1 prospects card for each team 701 to 726. Team cards feature a checklist on the back of that team's players in the set and a small picture of the manager on the front of the card. There are 66 cards that were double printed, and these are noted in the checklist by the abbreviation letter D, letter P. Bump Wills card number 369 was initially depicted in a Ranger uniform, but with a Blue Jays affiliation. Later printings correctly labeled him with Texas. The set price includes either Wills card. The key rookie cards in this set are Pedro Guerrero, not really, Carney Lansford, not really, Ozzie Smith, really, Bob Welch, and Willie Wilson. Cards number 23 or lower, which feature Phillies or Yankees do not follow the numbering checklisted below, are not necessarily error cards. They are undoubtedly Burger King cards, separate sets for each team with their own pricing and mass distribution. Let's get to the top 3. Of course, it's going to be Ozzie Smith. Of course, it's going to be a Nolan Ryan, and it's probably another Nolan Ryan. Let's see here. Ozzie Smith, Nolan Ryan, and then a tie for third between Pete Rose and Paul Molitor. Pete Rose's last vintage Reds cards are in this series, by the way, folks. You look at these pictures, these in-action pictures and stuff like that. It's not as bad as I think, but one thing that does get me is the rookie cards being black and white for whatever reasons. I think that that's just a crappy thing to do. Atlanta Braves, Orioles, Red Sox, Angels, Cubs, White Sox, Reds, Indians, Spiders from Cleveland, Detroit Tigers, Astros, Royals, Dodgers, Brewers, Twins, Expos, Mets, Yankees, Athletics, Phillies, Pirates, Padres, Giants, Mariners, San Luis Browns, Cardinals, Texas Rangers, Blue Jays, and Senators are represented here, and we'll get to that in a minute as to why. There it is, the greatest error card of all time, in my opinion. The Bump Wills. Saw it in real time. Couldn't believe my eyes. Took years of therapy to understand why Bump Wills was in a Blue Jays uniform while wearing a Texas Rangers outfit and still playing with the Texas Rangers. So Good times there. This is what's called organic baseball card errors, folks. It just happened on their own without any kind of pretense or anything like that. Hall of Famers, 61 of them. There's league leaders, there's regular player cards, there's team cards, there is highlight cards, there's all-time record holders, which is a pretty big deal. We'll get to that maybe in a deeper dive here. Rookies, 82 of those, right? So think of all the base rookie cards like your Ozzie Smiths and your Roger Ericksons and all that stuff, but then you have the triple bangers, 3 per card later on in the series, including Rennie Martin, I believe, is in there somewhere. I don't know why I have Rennie Martin in my mind. Inserts and relates, team checklist you can send away for that. There's the Topps Vault stuff as well, the printing plates, all that fun stuff. Comments? Well, there's a lot of them. 79 was a big year for collectors, folks. Cards, 9801 says, first packs I ever opened, Walgreens, 5 cents and 10 cents in Atlanta. At that point, they had me, and I've been hooked ever since. Kudos to you. Moby Grape says, the Wizard of Oz, as he was well known, is also your son's favorite player to this day. I don't know what that means. Maybe our son's. Moby Grape also says, the Wizard of Oz. He says the same thing twice. Get your papers, get your papers. As far as I can remember, says Darth Panzer, the very first pack I ever opened was from this year. I'd buy them at the concession stands after my ball games. Yep, folks, that was a big thing, buying your cards in uniform, serving your little league team. Minnesota Topps, first pack of cards I ever opened was 1979 Topps, purchased at the Ben Franklin in Paw Paw, Michigan. I think so. MI is Michigan, right? Most of my allowance and meager summer earnings from mowing lawns went to the shelves of that Ben Franklin. B. Swagger says, first packs of cards I ever bought and opened. Bama Man tells us this set was the first to add action shots to the set. Although I prefer the older styles of portraits or poses, these were a breakthrough of card photography. I had just started playing Pee Wee Reese baseball, and we won packs when we hit or threw a strikeout, etc. I'm about 130 plus cards into building a PSA and PSA 8 and upset, and have 2 Wizard rookie cards. One is an 8 and the other is a 9, centered on both. I enjoyed the stats, personal history, and factoids from cards from 1979 to 85 especially added to the cards. My favorite sets are the 1983 because that was the first year my first year if being old enough to care for them properly at 11 years old. So read that for however you want to read that. But I have tons of those too. This set is hard to find in centered shape no matter the grades or raw cards, but they are really nice for the era and photography of that time, capturing action photos. Great stuff. That's 1F. Roll Tide Roll. So, Bama Man, I think you're a little high there on cayenne pepper. I didn't quite understand a lot of what you said. Yeah. Back in 1988, says B. Kim, I gave a set of these to the son of a guy I worked with to get him started in the hobby. 1979 was the year he was born. A shame he had to start collecting during the junk wax era. I'm wondering right now if he's still collecting. Are you, Mike? Do you remember his name? How do you remember his name? I don't know. I don't know what that means either. Brian7308 says, I was 6 old. I'm reading this verbatim for the most part. I can butcher stuff when I read, but people butcher stuff when they write. I was 6 old at this time and remember taking my allowance to buy a couple packs. The money I have now, I could buy me a box for that price. But now, how much is a box? I couldn't get it. I would have pulled some Ozzie Smith before he came big name, but I loved my Chicago Cubs and always will through the good times and bad. He saved all his periods for the end of the sentence, ... B. Grimm tells us one of the worst sets the Top ever issued. I agree with you, B. Grimm. A boring and uninspired design like all the other issues from the late 70s and the early 80s, and centering issues like all Topps cards produced up to and beyond this time. But then, for the first time, Topps added their ugly logo to the cards, even though they were still basically the only game in town. Well, I disagree with that last part because I like the curved T-tops on the front, but the cards were uninspired for sure. The rookie cards are the worst. For some reason, the geniuses running this monopoly company at the time thought they could get away with utilizing black and white photos. Wow, this guy sounds a lot like me. Grainy, unfocused black and white pictures for the most part, and virtually none of the rookies in these particular cards ever amounted to much. Looking through the cards of this set, that I bought and collected at the time, I also noticed that a significant percentage of my cards were very poorly printed. Lots of really faded and washed out colors in many of my cards. I give it a 2 out of 10, only because there are some decent photographs in the set, but pretty much everything else is subpar. So overall, I agree with B. Grimm, other than the curved T tops. Eric Marthaler says, I remember not being able to pull a Ron Pruitt card. My buddy across the street had one, but he refused to trade it to me, even though I was offering him a Steve Carlton. He thought I was trying to get something over on him. So shows you how cutthroat people were back in the day. Couldn't even get a Ron Pruitt for a Steve Carlton. His neighbor knew what he had, is what they say these days. Snyder Art says, as a kid, this is the first set that I collected that I started trading cards with. This is the first set that I started trading cards with. That one's on me, Snyder. Before this set, I didn't know anyone else that collected cards. A friend and I would play a game similar to the card game War, where we would have each of our own piles of cards separated by pitchers and fielders. We would then go through the piles and lay down a card. For the fielders, whichever card had the higher batting average, that person would keep both cards. Same with the pitcher pile. Whoever had the lowest ERA would keep both cards. We'd do this until one of us ran out of cards. Good times and a great way to either grow or lose a collection. That's what's called, Boroloco says, this was my first packs of cards I ever opened. Lots of great memories. Love to read the back of the cards, back them. My favorite card was George Brett, all caps, number 330. And then finally, Big Bob, 8188 tells us, although this wasn't my first set I ever put together, that was a 1975 Topps. This is my favorite set because my brother Joey and I did this together. Wow, great memory there, dude. We would walk Herlong Market. Okay. We would walk to the Herlong Market, maybe. Buy maybe 10 or 15 packs, go outside on the sidewalk and open them right there. It was Tot His Day, the most fun I've ever had putting a set together. And I have a set for every year from 1975 to today. Baseball cards, that is what they produce. Great memories. That is wonderful way to wrap up the comment section, because that's what it's all about, opening and getting excited about cards and stuff like that. And I'm like Big Bob. I used to do the same thing, buy and then open immediately right out there in front of the store. It was a routine and a ritual, and I'm sure it happened throughout this great land of ours. Here is a wax box, 20 cents for these picture cards. Giants player there up at bat, possibly a Johnny Bench sighting or Ted Simmons as a catcher, not sure. There's a wrapped wax box. People want to wrap that up and keep it forever, like it's got some kind of secret in it. All freaking shrink wrapped up there. There is I don't know whether that is a wax box or a rack box. 39 cards in every pack, so that's a rack pack situation there. Case is what they call them. There is a case of cello packs there for 30 cents. All sorts of stuff on display there. There's the wrappers. You get a card killer on order there for a mere way too much money and way too many wrappers. The wax pack looks a lot like the wax box, but just all the colors have been changed on the batter and the catcher. There it is. They are really pushing that locker. There's the 30-cent cello pack there with one stick of bubblegum. Tom Seaver is our cover girl there. There's the famous 3x 20 cent pack. Name your price. There's that Topps Super Sports Card Locker. It's the greatest way to kill and your trade sports cards. On and on. There's the Smooth and Juicy, an explosion in your mouth. 2016 checklist cards. You could get as a sheet, and then it clearly says right there to use scissors to cut it apart. So, and there's a rack pack with Reggie, Tom Seaver, and Paul Lindblad. So fun little rack pack, 39 cards for 59 cents there. Let's get to the sell sheet. Sell sheet says Topps 1979 baseball, picture cards, bubblegum, going all the way. Whether it's the guy on the mound throwing his best, lightning, reflexes, and precision at third saving runs, or the speed and skill of taking extra bases, they're going all the way. And so will Topps 1979 baseball cards, with sales that go all season long. We broke all sales records last year, and we will be going all the way in 1979. It's a Red Sox player there. It's a shortstop or second baseman. I don't know who that is, and I feel bad for not knowing who it is, but it definitely doesn't look like somebody from the 1979 season. Looks like an old photo there. 20-cent bubblegum picture cards, 36 per display box. This is Topps number 362-79. Please send us your money, it says, and fill out your address and authorized signature. There it is again, the sell sheet, also supermarket 3-pack bubblegum picture cards. So there's your 3 wax packs together, all that stuff. Trivia. A lot of trivia here. According to Night Owl Cards blog, 43.7% or 317 out of 726 of the cards in this set features someone with a mustache. Wax packs were 20 cents for 12 cards. Topps All-Star Rookie trophies were not included on the cards of the 1978 winners, which were Bill Nahordney, Dave Revering, Paul Molitor, Bob Horner, Ozzie Smith, Bob Molinaro, Huskin Powell, Rick Bosetti, Rich Gale, and John Henry Johnson. Backs of cards replaced the previous year's baseball game with a quiz entitled Baseball Dates. Loved that, by the way. Hated the games, loved quizzes. For the first time, rookie cards, now under the heading Prospects, were arranged alphabetically by each franchise's city. AL teams first, followed by NL teams. Card number 525, Freddie Patek. The 1978 All-Star Game starter, Freddie Patek, is missing the AL All-Star designation on his 525 card. So let's get to the gallery. Take a look at this. We start off with leaders. There's the Cobra. There's Rod Carew, who doesn't have a fancy name. Jim Rice, Jim Ed, they call him. George Foster, he of the Black Bat. They share cards 2 and 3 for home runs and runs batted in. And Jim Ed looking all serious like he normally did back then. Omar Moreno, Ron LaFleur, etc. There's some great victory leaders there. Gaylord Perry and Ron Guidry. Nolan Ryan and J.R. Richard are the strikeout leaders. Boy, what a formidable duo those guys would become for half a season in 1980. Ron Guidry, Craig Swan, Raleigh Fingers, and Rich Gosh, they're firemen. And nobody really cares, still doesn't really care about firemen. So let me get to the checklist here, because checklist might be a lot easier to do this. So we have those leader cards. We have all sorts of stuff going on here. Let's see if I can get to some good ones. The fun ones are the all-time greats and leaders and stuff like that. There's some, here's the Philadelphia Phillies card there, Danny Ozark. Phillies are purple in this setup. I know we saw that kind of in the Burger King cards earlier. Here's your checklist, nice and pink and green on the back. Green was a pretty big deal to Topps back in the 70s. They bought a lot of green ink. They bought it by the truckload, as I'm sure. Going down. I want to find some of these fun little quirks in this set, because I do deride this set a lot, but it's still an interesting set. Here's one I find interesting. I'm the only one in the world that cares about this, but Sammy Stewart's card number 206 is a 1978 record breaker where it says he struck out 7 straight strikeouts during his first game in the majors. I'll read the back of that. Orioles rookie Stewart begins in blazing style. This is September 1st, 1978. Sets big league record with 7 consecutive strikeouts in debut. So O's rookie Sammy Stewart tonight set big league mark by fanning 7 straight Shy Sox in major league debut. The former mark of 6 in a row during debut was set by Brooklyn's Carl Spooner in 1954 and tied by LA's Pete Richard in 1962. What makes this interesting is this would be numerically, this would be his first card, his rookie card as a rookie, as a record breaker card. So I find that to be interesting. His regular rookie card comes much later in the set, and I think it's a 3-player card, but I might be mistaken. I always love the Willie McCovey card here for some reason there in Candlestick Park. Nice little pose there. Let's see. Let's keep going. Get to these record breakers, because we have some goats in this set for sure. We saw the Bump Wills card. Let's get down to the record breakers. So the record breakers are all-time record holders are also in black and white. There's Sisler and Ty Cobb for hits, followed by, there's your Browns, by the way. Hack Wilson and Hank Aaron there for runs batted in, both season and career. Roger Maris and Hank Aaron for season and career home runs. Batting average, Rogers Hornsby season, Ty Cobb career. That still stands, by the way. season and career stolen bases is an interesting one because it's both Lou Brock, but more interestingly to me is Lou Brock was still an active player at that point. So fun there. Wins, Jackie Chesbrough and Cy Young. Jackie Chesbrough, 41 wins in 1904. Nolan Ryan is your all-time record holder for strikeouts. I'm sorry, your season record, and the career is Walter Johnson. But if you look at the back of this card, Nolan Ryan is creeping up on that season record. He's about 900 away from Walter Johnson, and it'll take him a couple double headers to catch up real quick there. All-time earned run average, Dutch Leonard is season and Walter Johnson is career. So Dutch Leonard threw a 1.01 in 1914. Call that the dead ball era. Walter Johnson in career-wise, 2.37. There's asterisks involved there too, folks. So lots of fine print. So buyer beware on that, please. And so that's it. That's getting out of that. Let's get back out of this checklist. And then we'll get to the god-awful rookie prospect cards here in a minute. Let me see if I could scroll down. Let's just go to the end. So here's these Reggie Jackson's card number 700. And then we go right off a cliff to the Orioles. Sammy Stewart's rookie card right there that we talked about. Mark Corey, John Flynn. Again, not a lot happened out of this set. The Red Sox, who can forget Joel Finch, Gary Hancock, and Alan Ripley, believe it or not. Angels, Jim Anderson, Dave Frost, Bob Slater. You get the picture. And even Dave Frost is not too thrilled about what's going on here, these prospect cards. So nothing really to sneeze at, these prospect cards. Let's read about Reggie Jackson. Maybe not. Let me hit the right button here. There's his A's, his Orioles, his Yankees. At this point, he's got 340 home runs, over 1,000 RBIs, greatest player of the 70s. He's hitting balls all over the place, winning rings like there's no tomorrow. What happened on May 24th, 1889, says the baseball dates game. It says Pittsburgh's third baseman, William Kuhn, was credited with 10 putouts in a 9-inning game. Okay. Set mark with 5 home runs in 1977 World Series, Reggie Jackson. 6'0", weight 200, bats left, throws right, throws left. Drafted number 1 by the A's in June 1966, acquired and signed via free agent, 11/29/76 born, 5/18/46, Wyncote, PA. Home is Tempe, Arizona. So that's the 1979 top set. The curved tee, I love the curved tee. I think that's a great touch. Branding the cards there. Let everybody know we're still here, but other than that, it's an uninspired set. Some decent photography, some horrible quality control at the factory, but that's not what it was about back then. So anyway, that's 1979 Topps baseball set. I've done a deeper dive into that somewhere years ago on my YouTube channel and my podcast. So if you want more verbal diarrhea regarding the 1979 Topps set, then go find it yourself. Cheers, everybody. Thank you, Basement Tapes number 336.